So the first step to this project was to build the bottom section. It was important that I build the bottom section as sturdy as I possibly could because the middle and top sections will sit on top of it. I started by ripping 3/4 inch plywood to size. I attached the two sides to the bottom piece with glue and pocket holes. Next, I put the back piece in position and secured it to each side and the bottom with a bar clamp. I laid down glue, drilled pilot holes, and used pocket screws to secure the back. Then I attached the front and back floor supports using pocket screws, and I fastened 3 evenly spaced boards between them. I also screwed into them from each of the outer sides to provide more support. The middle insert consisted of 2 sides and 2 pieces glued together to form the middle. The insert would lay into the previous section. This was my own design, and I'm sure it's overkill, but I made sure the bottom piece was as sturdy as it possibly could be. It fit like a glove. The top laid perfectly on all 4 corners, but I still used a clamp to prevent any shifting. I secured it with glue and pocket screws. I constructed the middle section the same way, with pocket holes, glue, and screws. This section is twice as tall as the bottom section and will have 2 large cabinet doors. I used 3 1x4s cut from plywood to attach to the back of each section. This will help provide spacing from the wall in case wires need to be ran down the back. Of the 3 sections, the top was by far the easiest to build. My friends were going for the farmhouse look and wanted the built-ins to be constructed with cypress wood with a shiplap pattern. Since cypress plywood is very hard to find, I decided to use plywood for the cabinet carcass and trim it out with cypress. I bought the rough cut cypress from a local sawmill and spent many hours milling the lumber, more than what I had originally anticipated. Since the interior of the bottom cabinet would be visible through the glass panes, I had to cover the interior with cypress. I was able to incorporate a live edge shelf in the middle as well. I repeated this process for the middle and top sections. I used a vertical pattern for the middle section because of the length and to conserve as much cypress as possible. The cabinets would be installed on each side of a fireplace, so only one side would be visible. This is where I installed the shiplap with a 1/8 inch space in between. I used tile spacers and a level to keep things consistent and level as I went up the side of the cabinet. I didn't attach the transition piece which would go between each section. I simply put it in place. I attached the one above it and removed it to install at a later time. The doors were fairly easy to build and were solid cypress. I built the middle cross of the cabinet doors by using my dado blade to cut a cross halving joint. I cleaned up the joint with a chisel, spread glue, and clamped them together. Next, I built the outer frame and marked where to put the biscuits. I used glue and number 10 biscuits to join everything together. I made 4 doors for the 2 bottom sections and 4 more identical doors of smaller height for the top sections. My friends wanted corner brackets on each door. The brackets have no functional purpose. They are only for show. These brackets are expensive if they are purchased in black, so I bought the cheapest brackets I could find from my local big box store. I scuffed up the brackets with a metal wire brush and coated them with 3 coats of black spray paint. To stay consistent, I made a 90-degree jig to install the brackets in all 4 corners of the cabinet. I used my router with a straight bit to cut a notch on the inside of the frame. Since these doors need to be very light in weight, I resawed some shiplap to 1/4 of an inch thick and laid them in the door. I ordered 32 glass panes for the bottom and top doors from my local big box store. I picked them up already cut to size the following day. I used my router to cut a notch for the glass to sit in slightly deeper than the thickness of the glass. I placed the glass in place and used silicone around the edges. I let this dry for 24 hours. I installed the doors using soft close inset hinges while in my shop to ensure everything fit. Before hauling the cabinets to the house, I removed the doors to prevent damage and to make everything much lighter. I recruited my buddy Lester to help me install the cabinets. These cabinets were extremely heavy. We put the bottom section in place and secured it to the wall studs from inside of the cabinet. Then we installed the middle section, secured it, and then the top section. After about 6 weeks, I reinstalled the doors and the door handles. My friends seemed very happy with the custom built-ins. Be sure to check out my blog for downloadable DIY plans for this project. The link is in the description.